Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening to 107.7 FM. This is What the Frick Live. I'm your host, Emily Menshouse, and I have Mr. Will Martinez with me from Dark Fringe Radio. Woo! How's everybody doing on Friday, April 28th? Last Friday of April. Where did April go?
It's gone. I mean, the whole first half of this year is pretty much gone already, if you really think about it. It's crazy.
I know. It's going by so fast. Like, my son has like 3 more weeks of school left.
Yeah. Same here. It's like 3 to 4 weeks left of school, and then kids are gone. Back to being home and eating everything out of the house.
Well, his son thinks he's going to have the summer of his life this year because it's like the first full year that he's not in any sports this summer. He opted out of AAU. He wants to hang out with friends. He wants to have slumber parties, I guess is what you call it.
Good for him.
I called it slumber parties. Do guys?
You don't call it slumber parties. No, girls. That's for girls. No, sleepover for a boy.
Sleepovers. He wants sleepovers. He wants to do some paranormal stuff. So we're going to get to that. But anyway, real quick with Dark Fringe Radio, what's going on with you, Will, over there on your show?
I appreciate it. Tomorrow we have a new episode coming out. It's regarding linguistics and the power of words. And so we're going to be talking about how, the government has used, words and advertising and a lot of different avenues to really kind of control the masses. And we talk about that and neuro-linguistic programming. It's also another thing that we talk about, which goes along that same line. So really interesting episode that'll be coming out tomorrow. And of course, we have our merchandise store. Go to our website, darkfringeradio.com. And we have our brand new merchandise store. So you guys can pick up some new merch. So that's it.
Hey, is that one of the shirts you're wearing?
No, this is an old school. This is an old school. This is OG, but no, we have some new models on there. Way better, nicer, very well done. You'll see it. Just go to darkfringeradio.com.
That's all. I got to get a shirt too. Maybe I'll get one and be able to wear it in the next couple weeks. But I want to say, everybody, we are streaming live here on many different platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Rumble. So if you are watching via Facebook, and you leave comments, because we like to see people who leave the comments or ask questions, and we do not see your picture and it just says Facebook user, please go over to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give them permission to use your name and face. Mm-hmm. I guess I should say face. So, and if you're watching via YouTube, please give us a thumb up, ring that bell, and if you're watching via Rumble, please give us a positive Rumble. Ask comments there. I always follow up in comment section after the show. So we have it's been like True Crime Month over here on Live, and I love
but it's great guests.
Oh my gosh, amazing guests this month. I absolutely love it. And we're ending the month with one of a very special, I want to call him a friend of mine because he's been on the show before. We've communicated a lot since then. We have a really special person on this evening. He has he escaped from prison. Like he's not staying there. He was a cocaine trafficker. He stole a lot of jewelry, and I want to talk more about that tonight. And he is connected to Ghislaine Maxwell, which we all know who she is, and connected to Rob Durst, and he's written books about it, so we're going to bring up his books. But he was ultimately how I got to know who Bill was, or William, was from A&E's hit show called Inmate to Roommate. So let's bring Bill on right now to the show.
Hello, Emily.
Bill.
Hello, Emily. Will, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate being here. Hello, everybody in New Orleans. I guess
absolutely.
Evans' show there. I really appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for coming back. This is your return guest, so part 2. But honestly, I don't know if it's going to be a true part 2 because you got so much stuff going on, and I can still talk about your show that you were on. You're filming some other things, and you're doing all kinds of other projects. So, but I want to say thank you so much, Bill, for coming back on to What the Frick Live. We appreciate you.
You're welcome. I appreciate it. I'm really humbled by everything that's been going on since my release from prison, and you guys really have been part of it pretty much since the beginning of me getting out. So I appreciate that.
Well, you spent a long 18 years in there. I mean, you could vote again by the time you got out. I always say they're 18, they can vote.
I've never
So
voted in my life. I better register because I'm thinking of running for president, actually.
Uh-oh. There we go.
You can run for mayor.
Well,
for mayor, at least.
Felons can be
You're
president.
honest, but you don't hide anything?
Well, here's the thing.
They can?
In this country, felons can be president.
Yes.
So my platform would be, don't vote for them, vote for me. You already know what you're getting yourself into.
I've already been to the dark side. I already know.
You want to steal the vote? Vote for William Steele.
So felons can be presidents. Why are they trying? I don't want this to be political. This is just my only political question. Why are they trying to get Trump on a felony charge?
Why are we allowed to go there? You know,
I don't know. I mean, we can on the radio, obviously, but if felons can be president, why are they trying to try to get a felony charge for Trump?
I think it's the type of charge that they're trying to get him on, where it's not allowing him to become president. I think it's the type of charge. It's not so much of it being a felony. I think that's what they're trying to do. That's what their goal is.
I don't think that any particular charge precludes him from being president, but it tangles him up, you know, dealing with all these other things rather than campaigning. But he's a powerhouse. He'll pull through. And if I get elected and I need some help or an advisor, I'll go to him or one of his sons or, you know, somebody with a brain. And then I'll ask for some advice.
Well, you're from up in his neck of the woods anyway. You're in Brooklyn, right?
That's exactly right. Born and raised in Brooklyn. I was in middle school. One of the favorite books I ever read was The Art of the Deal.
I've read that many years ago.
My dear friend and mentor, Peter Tickton, is actually one of Trump's attorneys. And my co-host on my own show, William Steele True Crime, is Samantha Markle. Meghan Markle's sister is actually my co-host on my show. Now, I say guest co-host because she's so busy. So she comes on as she has the time, but she's phenomenal. She just exploded in the media again today. I don't know if you've seen. She granted an interview with an outlet in Australia, and she's released a ton of pictures. Hey, I see that. Hey,
well, Mary's on here. Rob's on here. Says hello. Eddie, a lot of great guests. Oops. He missed a great guest. Eddie Moore is on here. Thanks for tuning in, and we truly appreciate you. The best way to help our show and to help Bill is to share this out to your pages and just let people keep commenting in the comment section, because that keeps us in the algorithm of Facebook. And we appreciate everybody tuning in. Please ask questions during the show. We'll do our best to get to them. So, Bill, Brooklyn, we had Larry Mazza on, and he was Mafia up in Brooklyn, worked for the Grim Reaper. Were you associated with any of those groups while you were there?
No, but in those early 90s, when they had what they called the Colombo Wars, we were running up guns and cocaine from South Florida. And a friend of mine was saying, be really careful, they're all killing each other out there in your neighborhood. So there was a lot of, shootings and murders going down. I wasn't part of any of that. And what I did, I was a professional jewel and art thief. I was a locksmith. I became a high-end burglar all across the country, and I pretty much did everything alone, because ultimately you have nobody to get you in trouble, nobody to tell on you, nobody to inform on you. And I worked alone. But I had many opportunities to work with mobsters, and I knew plenty of them. But ultimately I worked alone in what I did. I'm from the Gravesend section. Now there's a TV show series, phenomenal. Will DeMayo is on there. My friend Sosha's on there. But it's filmed in my neighborhood. My first series of books were going to be called the Gravesend series. Wow. And I got out of prison. I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's making a show about it already. So I changed my approach a little bit. But
nice.
You mentioned the show. I'll tell your guests. So I went to prison 18 years for nonviolent crimes, right? Okay. I got a lot of time for things, but the way it works is I have a strong faith. And I know that in the end, in the scheme of things, it works out, because there's many more things that they know that you do, they don't necessarily haven't caught you for. And I see Ignacio chiming in. Hey, guys, great show. Like it always. Ignacio, ATF agent out of Miami.
Yes, Ignacio.
He's become a good friend. So he's a frequent guest on my show, too. He's written like 67 books. So I'm getting ready to get out of prison. I wrote a book about knowing Robert Durst. In my opinion, the wealthiest serial killer in American history. And so I knew him years ago. I was writing a book about my life with Gary Greenberg, who's an editor with the National Enquirer, and uh, Jennifer Klein.
Oh,
Hey,
wow.
Jennifer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's a huge fan of mine here in out in the Midwest. She's a really strong fan. So she's joining in, and so I wrote the first book about Durst, and Nancy Grace covered it on her podcast while I was still in prison. And then on my show, Inmate to Roommate on A&E, they allowed me to discuss the book, have a whole episode about the book and me attempting to become a published author and everything. And the book sales did well, but the lady I was living with told everybody, "Don't buy the book; it's got profanity in it," and whatever. So the show Inmate to Roommate on A&E.
Well, real quick, Bill. I Rob Durst, because I messaged a lot of people. A lot of people do not know who Rob Durst really is. Can you tell people who he was and what he was? Go ahead.
The real estate, his family, the Durst family, the Durst organization in New York City, control just about 40%, I think it is, of New York City real estate. They're worth billions of dollars. This family, Robert Durst, was worth about $100 million. And he was extremely wealthy and extremely office rocker. He, in my opinion, was a serial killer primarily of women and anybody he held a grudge against. And for 40 years was able to escape justice for killing Kathy Durst, and I'm friends with her family. And so I was writing a book about my life in prison, and my experiences with him was going to be a little part of my book. And all of a sudden, The Jinx came out on HBO. And my co-author, I was working with an A-list screenwriter in California. She's since passed away from cancer, Bettina. But Gary Greenberg, the editor of the Enquirer, who's a dear friend of mine, said, we agreed, put a book out first about Robert Durst because he's in the news a lot lately, and then we'll circle back and finish your book. I put it out. It did really well while I was still in prison. Nancy Grace covered it on her podcast. My new cover of that book actually has her little thing on it that she wrote. So that's Sex in the Serial Killer, My Bizarre Times with Robert Durst. And you can see with Nancy Grace, I got her on there, changed the cover up. But anyway, so the book did really well. And as I'm getting closer to my release, I was offered through an acquaintance a spot on a docuseries / reality show on A&E discussing recidivism and how failure to find adequate housing upon release leads to higher rates of recidivism. Well, I had a falling out with family because my mother was mentally ill and my sisters took the liberty of telling her that I was dead so they can take everything, and had her sign over a trust agreement to them. So I ended up having to live with a pen pal in Indiana because I didn't want to go back to New York. I didn't want to go back to Florida and have a confrontation with my family. I forgive my sisters. I hate what they did, but they were content with me coming out of prison destitute. I'm not the kind of guy to lay around being destitute. Things are still in some ways, but life is a struggle. But I'm dealing with it more productively now. I'm using my past to help people. So I agreed to participate in the show only if they'd let me discuss my books and my projects, and that I was going to set up a true crime channel and do motivational speaking, inspirational, stories. So I get out. I'm living with these people.
I have a question real quick, and then I'll let Will follow up and ask questions. But how did the Rob Durst, was that connected to you stealing jewelry and cocaine trafficking? And so how did you and Rob Durst connect?
Okay, years ago in the early 80s, I was attending the New York School of Locksmithing, Safes, and Alarms. That was on 42nd Street. He evidently had some business dealings there, real estate property, whatever it was. He was with Susan Berman, who became a good friend of mine and who he ultimately murdered in California. But anyway, we literally ran into each other. We had some word. You have to read the book to see what happened. But, I had a gun on me that day, and he evidently had a gun. And Susan restrained him, and my friend restrained me. She talked everything down and made him buy me a drink. We exchanged numbers. And he said, "Hey, you're going to what are you doing around this area? Basically, I'm going to locksmith school. What's your business?" He says, "Look, if you kind of guy that's willing to cross the line, can I look you up?" And I said, "Yeah, I can do anything for the prices, right? If you want to get in and out of something." And so that's how I established a friendship with him, only to find out eventually he was paying me to bring women mostly. And he was paying me to bring women, and he was paying me to bring women. 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 And he was p over to my place in Brooklyn. He didn't want to be in Manhattan a lot of times because his family is very prominent. And one weird thing after the other began to happen at my house. And I documented it in the book, including one day I walk in, he's covered in blood, he's getting high, and he's wearing a green dress. So this guy was really weird. Yeah. And so I pulled a gun and tried to figure out who he killed in my house, only to find a chopped up dog in my house. And
wow.
When I found out more about Robert Durst, I found out that many of his dogs were all named Igor, and every one of them had disappeared. So this is a trait generally of a serial killer where they'll focus on animals.
Mm-hmm.
And
but with animals.
They'll kill animals and stuff like that as practice. So
he's super creepy. He's dead now too, by the way, everybody.
Yep. We went out to the trial in Los Angeles
he died in prison.
Yep. We went out to the trial several months ago.
His wife.
And they wouldn't let us in the courthouse because of COVID in the courtroom. But I did see him for a moment. I held up a stack of $100 bills up to Lady Justice in the courthouse next to his name. And I says, how much to let Robert Durst off the hook again? You've been letting him escape justice for 40 years,
Mm-hmm.
So we made quite the scene over there. His lawyer came out of the courtroom. What the heck's the guy's name? Dick DeGuerin from Texas. He represented David Koresh. So Dick DeGuerin comes out and he looks at me and he starts screaming at me in the hallway because I wrote the book and I really exposed everything that was really going on. And he said, cannibalism. Because Robert Durst had, told me some things about eating women. And I'm saying, like, in the traditional sense, excuse my French, or in the, he said.
The literal sense. Yeah.
Right. It was literally indicating that that's what he had tried or done. And so I mentioned it in the book, and the lawyer flipped on me during the trial. So security, and I think Court TV was there, Court TV, and all those other different people were there. And it was moved to a different courthouse because Britney Spears had something going on with her, what do you call that thing they had her on, the conservatorship. So the courthouse downtown LA was packed. They had to move Durst's trial to another courthouse. And so they said, are you okay? Why did his lawyer yell at you? And I can't say everything that went on. One, it's in the book. Two, I don't want to get sued. But there was more dealings between DeGuerin and I that he didn't really want mentioned that are mentioned in the book. But anyway, so after he came back, he apologized, and we filmed it. He's shaking my hand. He's like, man, I'm sorry I snapped on you. I thought you were still in prison. I said, look, I got out 2 months ago, and I'm going to make sure your client hangs because he's been killing all these people, and he killed a dog in my house.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, just a real quick note. He has the infamous serial killer glasses on.
Absolutely.
He's wearing
those same glasses. It's that Jeffrey Dahmer glasses.
Yes.
Those are state issue.
Ted Bundy wore them too.
Ted Bundy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of wear those glasses, but so I'm going to let William or Will. I feel weird saying William. Will.
Well, Bill on YouTube. William Steele, True Crime on YouTube.
Absolutely. True Crime King, Mr. Bill Steele. Absolutely. Well, Bill, listen, again, thanks for coming on the podcast. And let's fast forward to what you were talking about earlier. So you are in prison. You get a notification about 3 months before you're out and say, hey, listen, let's do this TV show. You decide to say yes, and you end up out in the middle of the Midwest with, I suspect to say, and I would like to say, a little bit of a crazy lady, no?
Right. So here's what was on my wall when I got out. They're very strict. This is screen news from this TV show. Now, this show became the second most popular reality show in the country a few months ago, and it's got, like, right now, a fan said, "Hey, Bill, you're blowing up on TikTok." I said, what the frick is TikTok? I've been in prison half my life. What the frick? So I checked it out. It was like 9 million. It was like 9 million views. I'm like, that sounds good. What does it really mean? Now it's like 11.1 million, a few weeks ago. And so I get out. I go there. These people are really strict Seventh-day Adventists. The lady was my pen pal and friend for years. I didn't know she had a crush on me when I moved in. She spent all her time trying to break me up with Mary. My fiance is gorgeous, So this was on my wall.
No drinking or drugs, no smoking, no strip clubs or bars, no women, no overnight guests, no R-rated movies, no pornography, no profanity, no consorting with criminals, no taking Lord name in vain, exercise, blah, 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 blah.
Oh no,
You
you're
couldn't
going too
exercise?
fast.
What
You're
is
going too
exercise?
fast.
This
No
is the one with your feet.
exercise.
This
Yeah,
goes-
what's up with the exercise? No exercise, Bill? What was up with that? I don't understand.
No, must exercise or something.
Oh, okay, must exercise.
It says
Okay.
exercise. Yeah. No, refrain from
okay.
refrain from.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Thanks. No, I just got out of prison. We were locked down for a year and a half because of COVID before I got out. Everybody's dying.
Yeah.
And I gained like
Right.
100 pounds. I wanted to lose weight, but then, okay, put it on the sign, why don't you?
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Right.
So now you move in with this lady, and so talk to me about what happens after that. That's when they start filming and they start figuring out this lady has a deep down infatuation with you, and she's trying to break you up with your current fiance. Explain to me how this all goes from there.
So the husband, I'm not allowed to technically badmouth another cast member or give
I
up
get
the
it.
which I won't do. And I don't want my fans harassing them because they've been through all that because of their mistreatment of me. So please no bullying of Mark and Shauna. But they were just overbearing and like really controlling. And I have fans telling me like, Bill, knock on the door, tell the warden you want back in. There's people. I couldn't have ice. I couldn't use the refrigerator. I couldn't have pork. I couldn't have any kind of meat. If I bought it, like I had to like eat it outside. If somebody bought me a bunch of meat, I quickly stuck it in the back of the fridge so the next morning I was going to eat some, and then the neighbor was holding my meat. Now, if you saw the show, her name was Sharon. So in one of the episodes, I can't have ice, so I'm drinking a drink, and she happened to come out on the porch over there, and I said to the producer, I said, "Hey, there goes Sharon. She's already in one episode. Can I say hello to her real quick?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Keep filming." I said, "Hey, Sharon, I'm having my ice." So I said, "No, I'm not allowed to have ice over here. They keep hiding the ice machine." And she says, "Oh, how you doing?" I says, "Hey, you still holding down my meat?" She's like, "I got it in my freezer." So it became big all over the internet. You got meat, the meat police,
Weren't you using the air conditioning vent to keep something cool?
Yep.
Was it the meat? Was the air conditioning vent for the meat?
Yeah, the bathroom, my bedroom's own bathroom and everything. It was a very nice house. And I don't ever want to perceive to be ungrateful, but I was miserable there. I was stranded. I was away from everything. And the air conditioning vent is something you do in prison if you have some contraband milk or something from the kitchen. You stick pencils in the vent, you rest your food on it, and it blows cold air if you have a facility with AC, which is rare. But that's where you would generally do it. So I was doing that on the floor register with the AC coming up. I was keeping my iced tea there and my cold cut sandwich, We'd go to the supermarket. I'd be like drooling in the deli aisle, in the meat aisle. And she'd be like rushing, come on, we don't have time for that. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like I ate a lasagna over there. It was made with like twigs of freaking asparagus in it. I said, I'm from Brooklyn. That's not lasagna.
Yeah. That's
Did you see the episode where she said, I said, look, I have muscle atrophy. I need real protein. I need a freaking steak every few days.
Oh yeah, I do remember
yeah.
that.
And she said, we got you everything. We got you eggs. We got you all the cottage cheese you could possibly want. I'm like, cottage cheese. God bless the people that eat it. I don't eat it.
I don't eat it either. It smells like feet.
I used to eat cottage cheese with pineapples in it. It was pretty good.
No.
Emily, you don't tell me you're vegan too. I think they were vegan or something like that, but it's all good. But don't force it on somebody just because they're desperate living with you for a few months.
Absolutely.
So it blew up, and it's humbling because I'm now using that platform we're doing crime victim advocacy. I got 2 more books coming out, one about my Christian testimony, one about my life. And those are the 2 other ones coming out. I got a couple of where's the beef, Ignacio says.
That should be one of your that should be a t-shirt.
That should be a shirt.
Bill,
absolutely.
I always say that on every one of my shows. That
big ham
t-shirt. That should be a shirt.
Listen, I went to some ranches out here. I said, look, I'm like the most famous guy in the country right now. Where's the beef? Where's the beef? The meat police. Let me be a spokesman for your companies. Like crickets. But now the show's taking off. Now there's some interest. I gave a shout out to Disney World. I have no response back from them yet. They advertised all around that episode. In episode 1, if you remember, I called from prison. I think that the day before I got out, she says, "What do you want to do when I pick you up in the morning, Bill?" And I says, "I don't know. Let's take off to Miami for 3 days." Kidding with her. Her husband
Right.
was like, "I think that's going to happen, Bill. You take off with his wife." I'm just kidding, right? So I said, "No, I'm just kidding, Mark." I said, "I know where I'm going because I remember the Super Bowl days. I'm going to Disney World."
Disney World.
Back in my mind, thinking I'm going to get a deal with Disney World, right?
Yeah.
That episode on Everything I Love, Disney advertised all around it on social.
Look at that.
TV. I've been trying to reach somebody at Disney ever since, and they're unresponsive. I'm like, "Hey, I gave you the best shout out in the world. My show blew up. You guys spent millions of dollars on advertising. I haven't set foot in Disney in 20-something years. My girl's never been there. Can we have a trip to Disney?" Nobody responds. I call Burbank. I call Orlando. I call everybody Disney. No one gets back to me.
Yeah.
Crickets. Thank you, Disney. I still love you, but I'm still available for a trip anytime you guys want to sponsor.
There you go. Or we need to reach out to Arby's. Maybe Arby's might give a good.
Arby's?
Yeah, man. Yeah, where's the beef? Yeah, we got the meats.
Yeah, so anyway, all spun into.
Well, I was thinking Chick-fil-A, eat more chicken or eat more beef.
Chick-fil-A's
Chick-fil-A.
My faith is real strong, and I understand it's owned by Christian family or something.
Well, they're closed on Sundays. Bill. That's right up your alley.
Work on the Sabbath.
Yeah, I noticed when I go to ones out here, they got the nicest people and young people in the world working there. But if I set foot in the Wendy's or all these other ones, oh my God, you're lucky if you get something to eat in 20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
3 people used to spend before I went to prison. 3 people you spend $6 to $8 to eat. Went to McDonald's 2 days ago. It was like $39 for 3 people. I said, "Are you freaking kidding me? Yep. What the hell went on all these 18 years?"
Yeah. Was that something that you had to like really readjust to? Like that, I'm sure 18 years being inside and coming back out, a lot has changed since that time, right? I mean, especially the last 18 years. I mean, especially technology, the way we communicate, everything, all the stuff, like you just said, like you had no idea what the hell TikTok was, when they first told you about it. How was that like for you to, try to readjust to all this that's going on now?
Well, these things didn't exist when I went to prison. So I got to now, and let me tell you something. I'm on social media all day long. Emily can tell you I'm always stepping on her poor toes, the poor lady. She's always quick to get on my case a little bit. But so I'm learning how to market and try.
I care about it, though. I care about it.
I know. But so I'm trying to learn how to market, not have it called spam or piss people off that I'm, shows. But it's a learning curve, and I am generally trying to do it the right way. I'm learning all these social media platforms. None of them existed when I went to prison. Neither the smartphone. I didn't even know how to send an email. I had been on the internet one time in my life before I went to prison. And the second time I escaped, I ended up on America's Most Wanted. I was in the mall, and I was Googling the escape, right? And my wanted poster. Now I didn't know how to do any of this. I was at a kiosk in the mall, and this computer terminal facing out. I was selling cell phones, and I said to the guy, like, I got my little hat on and my dark glasses, and I said, "Hey, is this terminal working?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Does it have that thing they call Google?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." And I put in, and it had my wanted poster, wanted for escape. But I'm trying to figure out how to get off the screen. I barely figured out how to get on the screen. And there's a lady with her kid standing behind me. And I said, "I don't know where he came from. I was looking up mutual funds." I was trying to get a wanted poster in a public place.
Wow.
Listen, I always double check people that wear their sunglasses on when they're inside the mall. Anywhere I go, if they're wearing sunglasses, I always double check. But Ignacio is giving you a little bit of heat over here. He says, after 18 years in prison, what was the first thing you did when you got out?
Oh my God! I can tell you what I wanted it to be and what it turned out to be.
You went straight. You went straight to those people, right?
Well, beyond that, cameras in your face the second you get out, because I agreed to take part in this show, which was great. Everybody's professional. Shout out to Joe Ruza, my producer, Sharp Entertainment, and A&E. But it was a wonderful experience. But here I am, like white as a ghost. We've been locked down almost a year and a half. Pale. I just left behind friends who died from COVID. In the middle of COVID, and there's a cemetery across from the prison. I've been staring at the cemetery and tiny church for 10 years out of my window. And now we're on the property across the street, and production wants to fly drones. I said, "Don't fly them near the prison. They'll lock the prison down. You can't fly a drone near a prison." So it was me kind of educating them about prison etiquette. and wanting to get filming out of the way because they interviewed me the same way, right there with the prison in the background. I'm like, can we go somewhere? Like, I don't want to stay here for like 4 hours filming right now. I thought you talked to me for 5 minutes and we hit the road, away from
right. Yeah.
So what I wanted to do and what I did do was two different things. I was obligated to take part in this. I was exhausted. What I want to do, we can't really get into on here, but you know how that goes.
It's on that list. It's on that list you had it earlier there. Yeah.
It's not what the Frick Live late night show.
Yeah.
It might get there
After
one
dark.
of these days.
Yeah. I tell you, but I have to tell you. So that's what the ideal is, of course, and but more so than that, after that environment for so long, you just really want to get a good haircut, soak in the bathtub with a whole bunch of good stuff in it for like 3 hours, and then maybe sleep for like a whole day, and then like straight because the beds are miserable. So it turned out to be filming, and then the prison did get locked down because they flew drones near the across the street from it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. I'm in touch with a few guys that are trying to do the right thing and encourage them. They're like, "We can't even believe how famous you got as soon as you got out of here." I can't believe it either.
So you still communicate with the guys in prison?
A couple of them, if they're doing something positive, I definitely will. There's one in there. I'm not going to say his name, but his sister is like one of the most famous journalists in the world, and this guy's doing like a 30-year sentence. And
wow,
if I said her name, you know it. But he's got kind of a screwed up charge, honestly. But he couldn't be any nicer. So it's like, how do you deal with
Catch-22?
How do you deal with the personality and know what he did? So it's like, man, you're. He's like the only person in prison 18 years that like remembered my birthday and like cooked me a meal, because he cooked meals once in a while. And I was like, you're the only one's ever done that for me. Your sister's like really cool. I love watching her on TV, but it's just, I'm in touch with a few people. I believe in helping people, reaching back. So.
Will, yeah.
Well, that's another part that I wanted to get into, Bill, too, that I don't think it's really touched on as much, is that you do help a lot of inmates that are looking to, that have been maybe wrongfully convicted and, help them and give them some advice on how to tackle the problem. And I know you've dealt with a lot of that. Can you explain, what else you're doing with, some of the people that you're working with there?
Well, since I got out, I try to reach back, help people, have inspirational people on my show. We work in crime victim advocacy, but also advocating for the wrongfully convicted. A couple of different cases. I'm not going to go into all of them, but the big one, if everybody wants to follow it, is freedavereinhardt.com. Freedavereinhardt.com. He's in California prison, 50 some odd years. His family set him up, stole millions of dollars from him to get him put in prison, and he's sitting there without a hope in the world unless people step up and reach out and help. We're looking for a forensic document examiner to examine a trust agreement that he can prove was altered. He proved it to us and to other examiners. The problem is we found a few examiners to look at it, and then when we pointed out the 8 issues that proved that the thing was altered, and then out of like, I don't know, $400 million, when we proved this to them, here's their position. You shouldn't have told me that. I'm supposed to find the issues myself, otherwise I'm biased. And we've had people who heard the issues beforehand and then wouldn't help him. I'm like, you kidding me? If you don't agree with what he found and what we found, just say so,
Right.
If you go into a criminal attorney for your case, you're going to tell them what you think the weak parts of your case are. So we've had people like say they're going to help this guy and then bail on him. But so I was a law clerk in prison for many years, so I have a very good grasp on it. And so one of the other books I'm putting together is like, I'm not an attorney. I can't give legal advice, but it's sort of like how to navigate the system, how to effectively use the grievance process to assert your rights, your right to, adequate medical care, your right to, whatever your rights are within prison. There's so many different things. And to show guys how to like try to enforce their rights and, other resources they can reach out to. I don't like the ACLU generally, but they have a good group there called the National Prison Project as part of the ACLU. And they have a lot of good materials to help prisoners. Prison Legal News as well. Out of Florida, they've been around for a while. But
so, real quick, Bill, I've been falsely accused of things, and I've had some charges against me. Yes, believe it or not, y'all. I don't live on. I'm not a hellion, I promise. But they were falsely accused charges. How often do you think that the court system pursues these cases, and how often do people that present falsely accused storylines or even made up articles and things to the court that they get found guilty when it's absolutely not true?
A lot.
How many people do you think's behind bars that's falsely accused?
I could probably find out the numbers for you. I don't know them offhand, but it's a lot. And I tell you what, the Innocence Projects generally are very overwhelmed and understaffed, and they only have enough attorneys to work on guys with life sentence or a death penalty, the most serious cases. But I see guys all the time with 10, 20, 30 years who are completely innocent, and they're in prison. Their lawyer did not verify that they were 300 miles away when this guy was shot or that house was burglarized, and they had a criminal history,
right,
or a cop had a hard-on for him, or had a vendetta against them. And, they're in prison, sitting in prison, rotting, and nobody to help them, because they're overwhelmed, and a lot of them are illiterate. I used to help guys fill out their paperwork. I can't sign it for them or tell them necessarily what to put on it, but you can guide them in what they need to do to at least access the court. And most things are filed by prisoners. The law libraries in prison are completely inadequate. They don't subscribe to high-end subscriptions where you can do appropriate research, so everything is like super old, and there's no way they'll jeopardize most cases in most states, which is, really digging deeper into the case law. But I think it happens a lot. I think when it's found out, people are entitled to, and many people get compensated a lot of money. But is it worth all the years you lost off your life?
Mm-hmm.
Is it worth it? Dave's, I think, 17 years now. And this guy here, he only wanted to talk to the FBI about what was going on with his trust agreement, and he went to their house in Fresno, and he locked himself in there and told them, F you. My grandfather left me this, and this document's altered. I want the FBI. So his family was so connected, they had a SWAT team surround the house and made false claims that he made threats. They sent a robot in after him because he shot a police robot that broke his door down to get at him, and it's one of those robots that was armed. They gave him 50-something years for shooting a robot, for shooting a piece of police material.
Piece of metal
that was broken in his house trying to kill him. I don't know what kind of world this is where you get more time for shooting a robot than you get for molesting it.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Well, AI is on the rise. AI, we're going to have these dogs, all this stuff that's happening. This is just the surface of what's going to be ended up people going to jail for to protect themselves, because they use a lot of drones. I've watched a lot of videos where somebody won't come to the door or something like that. They will break a window and use a drone to go into that person's house to look around.
Oh, let me tell you right now. Let me tell you something real quick, Emily, and I'm just going to jump in real quick, and I apologize.
No, go ahead.
But I was at my job the other day, and I went to the parking lot, and there was 2 cop cars sitting there, the local city police, and they were putting up a drone to go look at a house. And I'm just like, really? This is what they're doing now? Like I watched them set up the drone and put it up in the air and go over this person's house, and I'm just like, wow, this is where we're living in now. This is what we have to deal with. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, no, they do it all the time, though. But don't we have in real estate school? This is many years ago. Don't we have the rights to that air above us, like from our property? Don't we have rights? Are they crossing property?
I don't think so.
And we just don't. We don't know the right words to fight these people when it crosses over.
A lot of it's that, but my understanding about your private property, for example, if your windows are open and somebody walks by and can film you nude in there walking around, that's fair game. They can do whatever they want with that footage because you exposed yourself. You can also get arrested.
But they're not on your physical property. What if they were on your physical property filming? They cannot do that.
They can't do it.
They're out on the road. That's public property. And if you keep your blinds open and you're dancing naked, singing Whitney Houston, then they can film you. But if they're on your actual property filming you, you can't do it. I just want to dance with somebody. Is all I want to do.
We know what Emily's doing.
Maybe, most likely, yes. Oh my gosh, my face is
most likely. Yes.
I had a case where the lady was a crime victim out in California. The police kept harassing. They're down with the bad guys, so they harass them. They're at the house all the time, and there's cameras everywhere. The cop on camera reaches down, readjusts the camera, says, "Oh, we're being videoed again." moves it. Every lawyer, everybody, internal affairs said without a warrant or subpoena, they cannot touch the surveillance cameras on your house to redirect them. Period.
Right.
Nothing happened to these officers. Nothing.
Yeah.
Not discipline. Nothing. They wouldn't process a complaint.
Amazing.
So real quick, Bill, I want to go back to your 18 years in prison, because I think even the first time you were on our show, we didn't really talk about this. What was the hardest thing for you to learn or understand when you came out of prison to modern day over the years? What happened?
Came across.
Smartphones?
We stopped somewhere and there was something called a Bitcoin machine in the convenience store. Like, what really is Bitcoin? I kind of heard the term, but then I see the machine go, a machine with Bitcoins? I thought these things were worth like a lot of money. You put a credit, it spits out a $70,000 token, and then the old bill kicks in. I wonder if there's coins in there I can get my hands on. But no,
I start casing the joint. Yeah,
it freaked me out, And then so we're filming by that, and because it was an ATM there, and I had to get my money out, and so they're filming me first time using an ATM since like the 80s, and they forgot that they forgot to ask the store guy for permission. So customers complained, hey, they're by cameras trying to get people's ATM numbers, And my producer's like, no, we're just filming a TV, so it's only he's with us. We're not filming his PIN number. So the guy was, get out of my store. He was like overseas somewhere. Get out of my store. You're filming here. You got no permission. Yeah. These things here, these things right here, this thing drove me crazy. But
powerful.
I'm kind of good with it, except for when I annoy Emily occasionally. but that okay.
No, YouTube links. You got mad at me, Bill. You got mad at me one night over that. You got mad at me when I felt the vibe, the messenger. You got mad at me over that. I'm like, I don't want to do that because I'd tell this to anybody.
I was faking to get a reaction. How about this? Siri, will you marry me?
Sure.
You used to answer me. I don't know. I got this thing talking to me. I'm arguing with me.
There we go.
You better get her some nails or something.
I don't know. The phone might be off or something.
Send her flowers.
But anyway, yes.
Flowers.
I
flowers, Bill.
know each other better first. Well, before I went to prison, you were crazy if you spoke to your remote control. Now I don't do anything without speaking to it. Put on flowers. Yeah. What happened? Yeah. Also, so that changed. Talking to your remote control, talking to your phone. Like everything, that people dressing different.
We talked about, we're real quick. We talked about Rob Durst a little bit too. You have another book though. I want to talk about this because we got about 14 minutes left or something. Ghislaine Maxwell. I've this before, but we didn't spend a whole lot of time. What's your connection with Ghislaine Maxwell?
When she gets
she's also down towards Florida, towards Will, Jeffrey Epstein. And everything. Right. So
she's in prison in Florida.
You have a book. It's Ghislaine, right?
She's going to be a roommate. She's going to be on the
sensational.
She's going to be on that one next, right?
She's going to be on Inmate to Roommate next, Emily. She's going to be your roommate.
Can she live with me? I'll take her. I will take Ghislaine. Like I will take her.
Your ratings will go through the roof, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah.
Listen, Glaine's it's going to be Ghislaine and me and Will every Friday night at 7. She's
into all that and more. But that's not what
I almost think she's part victim. I almost think she's part victim in some aspects of everything that's going on. But we'll show people your book, and everybody. The links are in the description. It's not letting me share screen for some reason or not. But Ghislaine, sensational and impure.
Sensational.
Oh, you got Mr. What's his face? Prince Andrew on there too. Is
Andrew
that Bill
on there?
Clinton?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Bill Clinton. I personally went through all of those airplane flight logs and got Bill Clinton's flight logs. Everybody that was on the plane with him on our website at menshouse.org. Go over there, look at it. It took me weeks to go through how many times Bill Clinton was on that flight. And all the people, all the bigwigs that were on, and Secret Service that was on those planes with him.
Did you see my name?
How are you connected? No, I didn't see your name. But how were you connected? How did you get with Ghislaine? Tell us about Ghislaine. How did all this happen?
years ago, when I was stealing a lot of jewelry, I was living in South Florida, and hello, Jennifer. When I was living in South Florida, I had a lot of fences. Fences are people who buy stolen jewelry, artwork, and I had a pistol with a silencer on it. I had a bunch of jewelry, and I was wanted by the police. And I'm always well dressed, kind of like I am now. When I'm doing illegal things, I take off the personal jewelry. This is more like for doing exciting things. But
Sure,
I tone it down. I'm very, very understated when I'm doing something illegal. I don't want to become a target or be profiled. So I go to my friend's jewelry salon, Palm Beach on Worth Avenue, and it's an upstairs diamond salon, right?
Yeah.
And I go in there. There's a guy at the counter with a young girl, and he's got his back to me at the other counter. There's only me at one side of the salon, and this guy who I now know to be Jeffrey Epstein. And my friend says, "I'll be with you in a minute." I said, "Take your time. He's with a customer. I'm there to do illegal business." I said, "Take your time. I'm not, no hurry." And I pretended to browse, but I'm watching this guy put his hand down the shorts of this young girl and through the back, and she looked like she was Jodie Foster from what do you call it? Taxi Driver era, so maybe like 14, 15 years old, if that.
Mm-hmm.
So she looked definitely underage, and it just made me sick, what I was seeing. And I kind of cleared my throat so he would stop. And then when they left, I told my friend, "Hey, I'm going to grab lunch. I'll be right back. I got some stuff for you to look at." I followed him down. I don't know if you guys know South Florida, Worth Avenue.
I'm 10 miles away from there, so yeah.
Oh, what part are you in?
I'm in Boynton, so just south of West Palm. Yeah.
Okay, I've got ties to Boynton right now. Okay, so I followed him to Taboo. I don't know if you guys remember Taboo used to be a restaurant. Yeah. Yes. They head towards the beach, left side.
I've heard of that.
And I confronted him in there, and I let him see the gun, and I said, "Look, it's not cool what you were doing in there, and I'm kind of in a weird situation right now because it's my friend's place." "Oh no, that's my niece, and we play around like something. We kid around like that." I says, "I don't know who you are, but where I come from, you wouldn't be walking, and this is my first meeting of Jeffrey Epstein." And I told him to sit where I was, and I went to the table where they were, and I confronted her, and I guess they had their story together. And she essentially said the same thing. And I said, "You definitely look underage. You're both full of shit. Now, I'm wanted by the cops. I can't call the cops on them." But I made the stupid mistake of telling him, "My friend owns that place, and there's cameras in there, and I know right where the tapes are." He had a water closet. They were right in there over the water closet. And I said, I could have them get those tapes and turn them over to the cops, and you're going to jail for sure. And he, was like, "No, don't do that. It's no big deal. It's my niece." And I was like, "Man, I'm going to jail if I get involved. And there's no way. Like, I'm not really into hurting people, but I really wanted to hurt this guy. I just wanted to, And I was trying to restrain myself. South Florida, there's cops every 10 feet.
Everywhere.
Right. So I just kind of let it slide. And eventually he was asking me, "How do I know such and such, the owner of the salon?" And I explained to him, I said, I didn't tell him I was a burglar bringing him a bunch of stolen jewelry. But I said, I come across jewelry occasionally through estate sales, and he'll buy it from me, and I get good deals. And he goes, "Oh, I'm always buying jewelry, And he gave me his number. He baited my greed a little bit, and plus my own fear of getting arrested. I had a warrant, and I had a gun on me with a silencer on it. And I don't use it, but I use it to intimidate people. Like if I would open my briefcase in those days, they see, a pair of black gloves and a pistol with a silencer on it, sitting there. Chance of some dope dealer or fence or jeweler trying to get over on me was like slim to none because they figured I'd come back and do something to them. And it was really a prop in those days because I was a loner. I didn't associate with many people, but I always made sure I put out a certain image of what I would do if you screwed me over. And he and I stayed in touch. He bought a few things from me. I eventually got invited to the house. You have to read the book to see the rest, but eventually there is where I met Ghislaine Maxwell and became very close with her. And have you read the book, Emily?
No, I've not read the book. I'm sorry. Is it on audio?
Is it on audio? I don't know. All my fans are telling me, "Put your books out on audio, Bill." I said, "Let's get out of prison. I don't know how to do that."
Audible. If you want me to do it, do you need an Appalachian voice to do your Audible book? Because I'll do it for you. I'll record on weekends.
An Appalachian play a
I wrote. The light is bright tonight. down in Florida.
Listen, I asked my fans. I asked all my fans. I put out a poll, probably to stall for time. I love my fans. Thank you. Bill, put it out in audio. Put your books in audio. That's the only thing I listen to these days. And so just kind of the show because I didn't know how to do it. I said, would you guys like me to get somebody to do it or in my own voice? Oh, no, do it in your own voice. And I'm like, great. So now I'm trying
to do it in your own voice. I do agree with it.
Ignacio's giving me a couple
I do agree with that. Ignacio does have books on Audible, and I'm going to be getting those in the next couple weeks too. But I'll just tell you,
I'm actually in the middle of one right now.
Mother. Yeah. I'm a busy single mother. Even the books, if the books are short, I can't read books until summertime after my son's out of school, and then I have downtime because every evening it's fixing dinner, getting him to sports, all that kind of stuff. If it's on Audible, I can listen to. That's why I listen to all of y'all's YouTube. I can't not necessarily watch, but I'll listen to your all's YouTube interviews, all that kind of stuff, because I work from home and I can listen to that during the day. Sitting down and reading a book takes time for me.
I wonder if I could read the book like just like this, like we're talking, put it up on my YouTube channel and bounce my hours up like because people would have to log in and listen to me reading nice and slow and build all my watch hours up through the roof.
Jennifer, I guess JJ says, I'll read it to you, Emily. I would love it. Do you do ASMR, Jennifer? Because we can do ASMR books, true story or true crime. I would freaking love that. Fall asleep.
What is that?
I listen to ASMR. Ask Mary.
What is ASMR? What is
this? Is crazy.
ASMR.
I know. Go ahead. Explain. Go ahead, explain it to Bill.
No, Will tell him. Give us an example of what ASMR is, Will.
Okay, so this would be it right here. So here we go. I'm you, Bill, right? I'm doing your book. So I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, I see this dude put his hands down this woman's pants, and I freak out. I have my pistol, and I'm ready to go.
Do that.
Just like that.
Hired, man. You're hired.
You gotta do that.
But I got a warrant.
I just have to find.
I can't do anything.
I have to find somebody to pay you now.
I'm telling you, we gotta have a true crime ASMR. Honestly, right. If you do like every night, I mean, listen, definitely do Audible is what
I see. Ignacio. Ignacio is always telling me, man, put him out. He's giving me a referral for a guy who does them.
Listen, Jennifer, we gotta listen to Jennifer. We gotta listen to Jennifer's voice. She says she reads them to her 3-year-old and makes him go to sleep. She might have a good ASMR voice, Jennifer.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, here we
There's
go.
Markle.
Sammy Markle be on our show. Sammy.
Samantha Markle.
Send it to her.
Samantha Markle.
She booked. Listen, she booked for May. She didn't confirm, so I went over her. And now she says she's coming on June. So I sent her June dates. She read them and didn't respond. If she doesn't want to come on my show, just say she doesn't want to come on my show. That's okay.
All you have to do is ask me. I told you she was my co-host.
Well, I'm asking you, Bill. You just need to tell her you need to come on the show.
I started my own PR firm, William Steele PR, right? William Steele TV, William Steele Radio. I asked her if I could represent her, right? And she gave me the honor of her being my first client, and she's my co-host. So she's in the media today because she did a gigantic interview with an outlet in Australia and released a bunch of pictures of Meghan Markle that the world is not ready for. So, her father's very sick. We pray for him. And but so she's an awesome co-host. She has multiple master's degrees in criminal justice and psychology. Before this began with her sister Meghan Markle,
I talked to her on the phone about narcissistic abuse for 2 hours. She's awesome. She said, "Send me dates." Maybe she doesn't like me. Is she swiping left to me? Maybe she doesn't like me. I don't know.
I don't know what.
But I would much rather her say, "I don't like you."
What does swiping left? What swiping left mean?
It's Tinder.
It's like a ignore.
Dating. Apps. Swipe left. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in you. Swipe left.
Oh, is that the site where people meet up for like quickies and all that?
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know. I don't know about that.
Well, you
But
seem to know how it
She
works.
pleads the fifth. She pleads the fifth. Oh, you were a breakdown in the line of questioning, Emily. That's not
I
good.
gotta tease you, Emily. I gotta tease you. You fell
well,
off that.
here's a red flag. The last time I signed on last time I signed on Tinder, the first guy that popped up, his name was KANT, and it said can't. That's his name. I'm like, I said that's a sign for me. I can't do this, and I
can't be on
signed
here.
back out. I can't be on here.
You should
That
have
was
told
his name.
You should have told him. Yes, you can with Viagra.
Yeah. They got Blue Chew for that now. Yeah.
They got a blue pill for that.
The Blue pill, right? Yeah.
Bluetooth, blue pill. Bluetooth will never be the same.
So this show here.
Yeah. Tell us about the show, Bill, please.
Yeah, we got 2 minutes with you, Bill.
I launched a new show called Steele Spotlight. It's actually a TV show with a lot of inspirational people on it. Tom Madden used to be CEO of.
Ladies and gentlemen,
that's Mary. So
beautiful lady.
Mary.
Thank you. So this show here is pretty crazy. It's a variety of see that. Anyway, it goes in starting with that because like I'm from New York and Saturday Night Fever was filmed in my neighborhood and I'm kind of stuck on the Bee Gees and disco and stuff like that. Anyway, but I close it out with a local or any artist who wants to come look me up. And if you want to be famous and if you really are a good singer or a musician or something phenomenal about you and you're not being recognized, look me up. The information's on the screen. You can be on my show. My TV show, Steele Spotlight. First episode's airing in about 2 weeks. Ignacio right there is on my first episode.
There you go.
So he's on there. Tom Madden, Gary Greenberg from the National Player.
Well, Bill, we got about 60 seconds with you left. So tell everybody where they can find you and look for you. And your books are available on Amazon, correct?
That's right. Amazon and also my website right over my head there floating. It's WilliamSteeleAuthor.com and my YouTube channel. Please subscribe. William Steele True Crime on YouTube, and my TV show about to start is called Steele Spotlight. So you guys can reach me, William Steele. I'm William Steele everywhere. So they call me the King of True Crime. Nancy Grace is the Queen of True Crime, and nobody has the other moniker yet. So somebody assigned it to me, and it took off. So it's pretty
serious. Good. Nancy Grace is Queen. Nancy Grace
Queen
is
of True Crime, and now they call me the King of True Crime.
I don't like her. So, I'm not a fan of Nancy Grace.
You ever hear her backstory? Her fiance was murdered in a robbery.
Yeah.
I know about that. I'm not a fan of Nancy Grace.
She's tough and she can be a little mean. Well,
I don't know. I think she jumps to conclusions a lot. I think she criminalizes people way too soon. But that's what the media does.
Yeah.
Especially with Idaho murders. And maybe we should have a roundtable with you and Ignacio. We'll talk about some of these big like recent murders coming on, and so we'll talk about the Idaho 4.
Samantha, we love you. We know you're out there watching. God bless you and your family.
Yes. And
she's down for doing the criminal justice shows and about rights and stuff like that. She's really, really with it. So if you want to have us on together, I can arrange it.
Well, we'll get something going in the near future with all of us on here. We need to have a roundtable, true crime roundtable. That would be fun. So anyway, we're gonna let you go, Bill. Thank you so much for coming on. Please, all the links are in the description of the show, but you go to his official website, WilliamSteeleAuthor.com. Remember Bill's house rules. And I'm still telling you that needs to be a T-shirt. That looks like a tour. That looks like a concert tour.
It's the post-it notes down the side of it with more rules. I called it the addendum.
The addendums?
The
addendums.
Oh my gosh.
Buy my books.
Is there going to be an Inmate to Roommate Part 2, like season 2?
I'm not allowed to officially say it, but 11.1 million views on TikTok. You do the math. At first season, the show exploded in the ratings. It's like literally exploded. I get fan love every single day. So.
Boss Steele. That's what I'm gonna start calling you. That's your mafia name for me, Boss Steele.
Mary put on the show Steele Spotlight. William Steele, inescapable.
Inescapable.
Hashtag Bill rules. Well, thank you so much, Bill, for coming on. We appreciate you very much.
Yes, thank you, Bill.
You'll be back on Ignacio if he's still watching. Obviously, we're gonna do a roundtable or something one of these days. We're gonna have something fun. So thank you so much. Everybody, please go to the links in the description of the show if you're watching via, and if you're on the radio, it's williamsteeleauthor.com. Please go over there. You can find all of this information there. And thank you, Bill. We'll be rooting for you. Keep me updated. Let me know what's happening.
Thank you, Bill.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
There we go. Bill Steele.
There we go.
Always feel
That was a
like
good one.
Superman after he's on. Superman.
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah.
Superman, huh? Okay.
So Man of Steel is who we got on this evening. He's super fun. He's fun.
No, it's a great guest. A great story. I mean, it's admirable as what he's doing now to help other people after he's out. So I mean, you can't ask for more for somebody like that, you know.
And then if anybody, I'm telling everybody, go to A&E, watch Inmate to Roommate. It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Yes.
And I am on Team Bill, and I do believe the woman in the house had a crush on him. She was
absolutely.
She was the pen pal for like 11 years.
I mean, who's a pen pal to somebody for 11 years, and
just
then
the woman,
that person
not
comes
the man.
out?
Not
Yeah,
the
that's
man.
what I'm saying. Yeah, that's weird too.
What
was his name? Mark, right? Mark
and Sheila? Was she
Sheila? It was an S though. Yeah, Sharma, I think.
Sharma? It's like
something
karma?
like that.
Karma.
Yeah. Shitty karma. Sharma. But anyways, long story short, I mean, what a great guest. And yeah, you guys got to go check out that show. Seriously. I mean, that show is hilarious. It really is. I mean, he went from prison and then he went into like a more like almost like a supermax prison, almost like, I mean, what is the irony of that?
It reminded me of like out in Utah. What's those groups out in Utah? It reminded me of
the Mormons?
The Mormons. It reminded me of like going to Mormonhood or something.
Yeah.
Or it was a cult. It felt so cultish watching that show.
Or like a Mennonite, like with the Mennonites.
A Mennonite, yeah. Or Amish or something. It's like these people shouldn't even have electricity, how they treated him.
Right.
So everybody, please go watch A&E, Inmate to Roommate. Bill, I will say this, Bill is the star of the show. Other people, he was the star of the show. And I'm hoping to see season 2, maybe what would be interesting over time is that these people that got out that were roommates, they end up bringing the people that get as roommates. That would be cool. That would be cool. So anyway, we will be live again here next week. Thank you for everybody for tuning in at 107.7 FM New Orleans. We appreciate you all. We'll be live again here next week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great weekend. First week of May already. And please make sure to follow Will over at darkfringeradio.com. He has a really interesting show coming out this weekend. And if you don't mind, Will, tell people one more time what's coming out.
Yeah. Linguistics, the power of words. So that's what's going to be coming out, and you'll enjoy it. It's really about how people can be programmed just to think certain things by words. But great show.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Wednesday.